G'day, folks. Welcome back to another episode, Walk the Talk style, where we come together to do exactly that. Walk the talk as collaborative industry agents, entrepreneurs, or just people in the big wide world trying to have a crack and get ahead. And today's special guest is a gentleman who's recently joined eXp Realty in the corporate support staff and licensee arm of the business. A man who comes with over 26 years, I think, in total of industry experience, has seen everything from the downturns, the upturns, the GFC and the COVID-19 markets, has got a wealth of experience from over 1,000 transactions in the industry himself through to coaching, mentoring industry agents and leading them from the front. So Tony Fanfulla, thanks for joining us on today's Walk the Talk episode, mate.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
So, mate, tell us a little bit about yourself, starting off in your location. So you're based in the Melbourne's outer east, around the Yarra Ranges, is that right?
Yeah, Yarra Ranges and Dandenong Ranges has been all of my career since 1997. So in that marketplace, very much fringe Melbourne, lots of beautiful surroundings and views and mountains and valleys. So lovely place to work.
Awesome, mate. And I bet it's nice and fresh there at this time of year as we shoot today's content. It is the
Very.
middle of June, the first month of winter. The fireplace is going. I think you were having pea ham soup the other day, mate.
Yes.
But a beautiful location nonetheless. So, mate, take us back to those early days in the late 90s. How did you actually come into this industry that we know it as real estate?
Yeah, well, my intention was to become a business broker and found that to be a business broker, you had to do the same course as a real estate agent. And so went off, I trotted to the local TAFE to do the course. And there were some other people doing the course, and there were three of the ladies that were the reception admin for a local company here doing their course. And they've got to talking with them, and one of them said, "There's a position going for one of our officers." Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, for an interview. I was a 30-year-old who was looking for my path and went for an interview, and the rest is history, as they say. So I started working residential real estate up there in Emerald in the Dandenong Ranges, and I was with that company and have been with that company, owned many of their offices and worked in nearly all of their offices around the district, 7 or 8 different locations over the last 25 years. So stayed with the one company, albeit at different offices.
Wow. That's admirable, mate. So one company, one business since 1997. So how many years of long service was that? Double years, I'd
Yeah.
say. Awesome. So, mate, tell me a little bit about the varying markets that you've seen over that time, because I've been in the game 16 years, so you've got a lot more experience, knowledge than I do. So I'd lean on you more so. Tell
Oh,
me what.
well, I can remember, in the late 90s, after the recession we had to have, not being able to sell houses for $80,000, missing out
Yeah.
on deals for $500 and things like that. It was very much a depressed down market when I started. I didn't know that. I just started in real estate, and it was tough going for that first couple of years. And then certainly into the early 2000s, and the market booms and busts that we've had through to 2005, it was just a frantic market. And right through then to 2010 or 8 through to where the GFC, and varying markets since. Again, I remember going through 2015 and telling vendors not to come on the market because there was just too much, and they were
Wow.
just going to go on top of the pile. And so that amazing markets, and then into 17, 18, frantic again. You couldn't get listings. If you had 4 listings, you were just a superstar. You couldn't keep them. They were selling so fast. So incredible variations over that period, and into COVID, where I first got my little glimpse of EXP, early COVID days. And that certainly was a different market to work in, especially in Melbourne with the amount of lockdowns and different laws that we had about could we work, could buyers go to properties, etc. So, and then into the current times in Melbourne, particularly with the last 2 years of interest rate rising cycles of and various different state taxes and legislation have caused Melbourne to be a little bit of a flat, depressed market at the moment in 2024. So, we've had, in that time, everything happen.
That's insane, mate. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because, we've got many members that we're supporting, mentoring, coaching right now in the marketplace, particularly in SA, Queensland, WA, over the likes where, if you're getting one listing in a month, you're a superstar. And you take anything and everything onto the former market that you just explained, where you're telling vendors and sellers to not come onto the market because there's too much stock. I guess the lesson here is through any market, it's about the right advice and how you navigate through it, most importantly. So fast forwarding to today, mate, you went from one business, one organisation since 1997 coming into the industry. EXP Realty came onto the map. You've now joined us in the leadership core group here in Australia, leading as licensee in the state of Victoria. But in saying that, you're very clever and astute in the operational space on fast learning, not just from a state-based level, but from a country and national level. Tell us a little bit about what inspires you about. I know you love technology, which we're quite innovative in that space. So tell me what sort of enticed you about EXP Realty, and tell us a little bit about your role as licensee in Victoria and operational support nationally.
Yeah, look, the opportunity for the role with EXP to, I suppose, at the stage of my career, to use my expertise to support and share and mentor others, rather than being the real estate agent one-on-one with a vendor and a buyer in that sort of relationship, which I still do, but very much was interested in having another career that was in that corporate management sense, that type of role. So that was very much of interest to me, and coming on as the Victorian licensee and being speaking with all of our Victorian agents, and since then really expanding that role into a more national operations role. That I have a very niche part of my history when you talk about tech. About 2005 to 2008, I was involved in a software program, a product that was developing policy and procedures manuals for businesses. So that's something fairly niche, fairly boring for most people, but something that I was interested in.
Yeah.
We had a fascinating piece of software that we sold all around Australia, around the world. And, that I prior to that, and what got me into that, was one of the offices, or two of the offices I was at, I actually took those offices through the quality assurance model to get the 5 ticks of the quality endorsed. There's only ever been 4 real estate offices in Australia do that, and we were 2 of them. And sort of taught me a lot about systems and processes, documentation, measuring, testing. And that was a great interest to me because, the data doesn't lie. If you test and measure and, based on the results, improve your processes. Continual improvement was certainly the mantra around quality assurance. So, that took me down that path and that interest. And the software has always been a big interest for me. When I started in real estate in 1997, I was handed an exercise book and told me that that's where you put all your contacts. And then I found on the shelf a bunch of floppy disks that had a program called Top Producer that was a CRM. Never heard of it.
Okay.
And I was one of the first agents ever to bring a computer and plonk it on their desk and feed in the floppy disks.
Yep.
And it was the first database program that company ever used. And, went from there on. I was known as the tech geek. I'm probably not that now as much. You're more tech, I know, than I am now. It's probably a lot of that has left me behind. Things like editing, WordPress. I probably don't have the patience for it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a bit, a lot of it is a little bit too tedious. I just want to get on with the content.
Yep.
And coming into EXP, just being a company that was cutting edge in the tech side of it, with things like EXP World, and having everything cloud based. Having come from an office and wondering, how are we going to do this without a admin person, without the front window and all these things? But hey, it works, and it works remarkably well.
Well, mate, I got to give you credit because you are definitely tech savvy. What I do love about you, mate, is you're prepared to venture into the unknown with tech and you embrace it. I think that's the biggest thing with tech. Even I struggle to keep up at the best of times with all these new apps and AI platforms, and it can really bog you down. It really can
Mm.
consume your time. But I think the main thing with any tech evolution is just how one embraces that change and willingness to go into trying and testing new things. Because as you said, the data doesn't lie. Um, but the other thing that I really admire, mate, about you and very grateful to have you on our leadership team is, and it probably aligns with this Walk the Talk podcast, is you've been there, you've done it, you've been a high volume and producing agent for many years. So when you train and mentor, and that's just what I like about people that mentor and train me, people that have actually walked a day in the life of my shoes as a transactional agent, because I know out there's a coach in every industry, right? And some have walked the day in the life of people in that industry, and some have never sold a property yet they're coaching industry agents. And
Mm.
I always struggle to, adapt to that concept of how can I be coached by someone who's never actually walked and done what I do daily. And I think that's one of the really value add things that you offer to our members is you have been that top producing, high volume, consistent writing agent for decades now. So you have a lot of strength with your knowledge and experience of having done all that daily grind that industry agents have to do. And I
Mm.
think you can't devalue that. Like that in itself is just invaluable having you as a leader, a trainer, a mentor, and someone who's got strength in the operational and tech space as well. Um, Mate, outside of real estate, tell me one thing you love about EXP Realty the most.
Outside of real estate. Uh,
Outside of transactional real estate, sorry. Tell me one
oh,
thing
look,
that you love the most about EXP Realty and our model.
I think it's the freedom that it gives the agents. It's the freedom, and it's the collaboration. So we all don't work in an office, yet the collaboration is remarkable, and that was something that really struck me in my early month or two, and that you feel like everyone's there,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of hundred people or more involved, and you do certainly feel like they're all right there. So that, and just, yeah, as I said, the freedom of as for those agents being able to manage their own time. They're not, we certainly don't measure them and say you need more listings or anything. They some are high producers, some produce just what they want, what they need, and just the flexibility for agents, start of careers, end of careers, and everything in between.
Yeah, I met with an agent the other day and I asked him that same question. I said, Clarence, are you an entrepreneurial agent or do you need to work for somebody? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, look, our model, the only downfall is the freedom can entice complacency and comfort because we are such a cost-effective and nimble model to be in. So it can be easy when you're working from home to go watch Netflix or YouTube rather than do your prospecting. Do you need to be told what to do, how to do it, and when to do it? Because our model definitely discourages that. That's not who we are. We are an entrepreneurial model that if you want to be your own business owner, you want to still collaborate and still have connectivity with industry agents and still have training, mentoring, and support that we provide, then this is that freedom, spirited entrepreneurial model that's perfect for those agents. And you've seen it before, mate. You do. There are those two types of agents: those that can work for themselves, and those that we have to say no to because it's not the right fit. They do need to work for somebody.
It's
Absolutely.
certainly it's certainly not easy, and I think we underestimate the successful agents with EXP and the self-motivation that they must have.
Yes.
It's we underestimate that, and the figures that they may write are remarkable for working at home on your own with no traditional structure around you, and perhaps your next colleague might be 10 kilometers away,
Yeah.
um, and or more. So it is, we do underestimate that, and it's not for everybody.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. And for some people, they do need to be in an office and with that structure around them. But for those that are a little bit more experienced and get into this model, it can be remarkable for them. And the amount of people that are in EXP that said, "Gee, I wish I had to come earlier." Well, fortunately for all of them that are currently with us, it's still early, only 3 or 4 years in the country, so it's certainly not too late. For agents that are looking for that flexibility, yet with all the support you need and all of the tools you need, we're here.
100%, mate. Well, in Australia, we're 0 to 5 years, and in many, many large corporation and big successful businesses, that's still considered your startup phase, right?
Yes.
So we're still on the cusp of that. Tell me, mate, now that you've come from a traditional business environment, both selling and leading and, running the operational aspects of the business, to now being cloud-based, online, freedom to work from home, all of that. Where do you see the industry in the next 5 years going here in Australia?
Mm. It's funny, the industry's been shaken up every 5 years for all of my career, apparently, but you look back and it's still all the same, apart from the tech, I suppose. But I see that us, together with other models out there, are going to encourage some of the better agents into these models where there is more flexibility and more life. I've been to many conferences, seminars over the last 20 years where the flavour changed from sales training to talking about balance, but none of them
Mm.
had the answer. How do you get balance working 60 hours a week in an office and, answering phones 7 days a week and all that? How do you get balance? And none of them could quite figure it out. And here we are. We've got all the balance in the world on offer. But we didn't know 5, 10 years ago and more that this cloud-based opportunity would come. So I think that, look, I know I can go down the road and speak to real estate agents who have no idea these types of options exist.
Yeah.
So it's an awareness exercise, probably during this next 2 or 3, 4, 5 years, that I think that once it clicks, there'll be a snowball effect that happens at some stage. And I can see probably 50% of the industry being in these types of models within the next 5 years or so. I think that that's going to be quite a big shift.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a surgence of it here, even locally in my market of South Australia. We're seeing more online cloud-based options, agents switching over or becoming more independent, I guess, in their own rights. So yeah, it's going to be interesting
I
because
think Melbourne, Sydney are certainly the big factors, and having them click, because they're biggest populations, biggest agent populations, and I think that once we can, penetrate those markets well and truly, for all of these cloud-based models, once we can penetrate the markets of Melbourne and Sydney, it will steamroll.
100%. All right, outside of all that real estate talk, mate, and operations and manuals and policies and procedures, Tony, what does Tony like to do on the side himself, mate, outside of business, work, and industry related stuff? So,
Yeah.
wife, kids, what do you like to do in your own downtime, mate?
Oh, look, my wife and I, who are both just in love with caravanning around our big country, and that's where our passion is, and that's certainly what all of my spare time is aimed towards. You can't do it very often, but you can, whether it's a weekend, I'm going tomorrow for a 4-day weekend up the mountains. Uh,
Beautiful.
I'll still work, obviously, which again is part of this benefit of this model, that I can work whilst sitting in a caravan. But that's where the passion lies, traveling the country, seeing new sights, and just sitting around the campfire with the missus having a glass of red.
So relatable, mate. And it's true because, as you know, I traveled Australia for 12 months and being powered by this model, both leading a state and growing it and making it profitable, but also still transacting real estate. I did 13 sales whilst I was gallivanting around in the northern WA coast with
Yep.
my wideband antenna on an 8 meter mast plugged into my 5G modem router inside the van. So it's incredible. I mean, this was prior to Starlink, obviously, mate, but you're a smart man. You probably got that wired and plugged in, ready to go now.
I
But
have the Starlink ready to go. I haven't set up the account yet, but I've got the hardware all sitting ready to go. I'll set up the account very soon and get that happening.
Well, mate, if you're leaving tomorrow, I better give you some time to get readiness for that because that sounds like it might be some tech challenges there in itself. Hopefully, Elon Musk makes it very seamless for you to plug and play and get underway. But Tony, thanks for joining us on this episode of Walk the Talk, mate. We really appreciate your insights and definitely really value having you as a member of EXP and particularly as part of the leadership team driving our model to serve industry agents across the country and to provide better freedom, lifestyle, and balance. I think you hit the nail on the head for them in their businesses, but also their own personal life. So, folks,
Yeah,
that's it.
pleasure,
Tony
Chris.
Fanfulla
Thanks.
from Victoria. Thanks for joining us on this Walk the Talk episode. And until the next episode, where we'll continue to walk the talk, we'll see you then, folks. Bye for now.